Ever heard the term crab mentality? This mindset is unhealthy and devastating for anyone involved. You wouldn't want to be like that, fish keepers. I beg you, please don't be. Instead, try to replace it with my different definition of crab mentality. The characteristics of being obsessed with keeping crabs in your tank. That's right, a better and beneficial term that you would want to know more about. For the first time in this video, we'll highlight the species with the greatest pincers of all time. Sure, you already know what I'm talking about. You better stay with me until the end of this video, where we'll discover the awesomeness of the 15 best freshwater crabs in the hobby. Tune in right now, because Aquarium Store Depot is back. The vast Alaskan king crab that you see on the Nature Channel is what most people envision when they think of crabs. However, I'll talk about freshwater crabs in today's video. Much smaller than any saltwater crab you've ever seen or eaten. These freshwater crabs are eaten by some individuals in different regions of the world, but are increasingly making their way into the aquarium hobby. You can keep something utterly different from the typical fish in most aquariums by keeping freshwater crabs. Hey, just because they're named fish tanks doesn't mean we can't have some other stuff in them, like these incredible crustaceans. Without having to make you wait any longer, let's start our official list of 15 best freshwater crabs with the first type that will bleed your heart out like a vampire. Take a look at the vampire crab. The vampire crab is a semi-terrestrial species. Thus, your aquarium needs to have a dry area for them to forage on. They need water and land to thrive, with an ideal ratio of 2/3 land and 1/3 water. The best substrate is sand or small round non-sharp stones with a few mossy patches for them to explore. These stunning crabs are a recent addition to the aquarium trade. They have eye-catching coloring that includes deep reds, purples, and blues. It's simple to understand why they've been dubbed vampire crabs, because these crabs have vivid yellow eyes and mostly feed at night. Even though they're not particularly active, vampire crabs are a delight to keep, and if you include a few of them, can form social groups as long as you keep a healthy ratio of females and males. They're opportunistic feeders, so they'll eat just about anything, even plants or fish if they have a chance. A 10-gallon tank is sufficient for 5 to 6 of them. Check out the closely related brilliant orange-red devil crab for a different color variation of the vampire crab. I'm sure their beauty will haunt you in your sleep. This next crab is a cutie, but don't ever belittle them. Meet the Thai micro. False spider crabs are another name given to these tiny crabs that barely reach a width of half an inch, with a faint transparent gray-silver color and long spider-like legs. Contrary to most crab species, you want a lot of plants in your tank, because these crabs like to hide and rummage through them, in search of food scraps without damaging the plants much. Since these tiny crabs are so small, keeping them with anything else would almost certainly result in them being picked on or eaten. It's best to keep them in a single community tank or with other inverts like shrimp. They feed with the help of the hairs that coat their carapace and legs. They're mainly defenseless and prefer to hang around on driftwood and plants. They're nocturnal and reclusive, often getting lost in any tank larger than 10 gallons. This third crab on your list will surely win your vote as well. It's time to know more about the red claw crab. The first thing to understand about these crabs is that they are not freshwater, but brackish water crabs, as their gills are accustomed to breathing in salty water. They will perish in less than 6 months if they're given access to only fresh water. Therefore, if you want a healthy red claw crab, pay attention to the salinity of your water. They get their name from the vividly colored red claws that are their defining characteristic. At the front of its head, the red claw crab has 2 protruding black eyes, either dark green or brownish red in hue. They will thrive in a properly aquascaped paludarium with at least 70% brackish water and 30% land. The optimum substrate for these crabs is sand, because they enjoy digging and burrowing and are adapted to sandy environments. Giving red claws a place to hide and mull requires hardscaping. The most extraordinary materials are rocks and driftwood, because pests can't quickly kill them like they can your plants. Jumping onto our fourth species on the list, be amazed with the Panther Crab. Freshwater aquarium crabs called Panther Crabs have distinctive black spots on their light yellow and orange bodies, giving them their name. These 3-inch aquatic crabs are easy to care for. However, they are territorial and have trouble getting along with other tank mates because they're semi-aggressive. In a tank that's 20 gallons or more, it's ideal to keep just one crab. Sand should be used to line the bottom of the tank, and your crab should have lots of access to rocks, driftwood, and other hardscapes to have places to hunt for and hide when necessary. Plants should be avoided because panthers will consume and dig them up. They're omnivores like most crabs, and like a variety of meals like larvae, tiny shrimp, and even decaying plant waste or blanched vegetables. They typically hunt for food and forage when out at night, grabbing whatever they can. Unshelled shrimp are excellent food sources, as they're rich in calcium, and calcium in their diet will help all crabs with their molting process. The Pom Pom Crabs is our 5th species on this list. The hairy tufts on the Pom Pom Crab's pincers are a more recent addition to the hobby. Given its name, they resemble little pom-poms. They small and seldom grow bigger than an inch. Freshwater pom crabs are becoming increasingly popular in the industry. They have a body that's a light shade of tan or brown with spots or patches of deeper brown and some orange colors thrown in. Pom crabs may easily live in a community fish tank with smaller, less aggressive fish that won't eat them, because they are true freshwater aquatic aquarium crabs and are very peaceful. To give them a place to hide for and look for food, make sure the substrate is made of sand and plenty of small stones and driftwood. The freshwater pom is a vigorous scavenger, and it will consume practically anything, including algae and debris in your tank. They should be given a diversified diet, with a preference for plant foods like leafy greens and specific protein sources like bloodworms and brine shrimp. Additionally, place a cover on any tank you keep these in, because they're skilled climbers and can squeeze through even the slightest cracks. Unfortunately, these little crabs only live for about a year in captivity, giving them the shortest lifespan of all the crabs on this list. Towuti sounds like a species you won't forget. Sulawesi, an island in Indonesia, is home to these tiny 2-inch or 5-centimeter long Towuti crabs. Because they're a valid, totally aquatic species, Towuti crabs are suitable for any aquarium because they reside in lakes and tributaries. Make sure there's a cover on it because they are skilled escape artists and are active even during the day. Community tanks are not a good fit for the Towuti because they're aggressive and expert hunters. Everything they can get their hands on, including shrimp and small fish, will be consumed by them. They prefer plant matter over live fish and shrimp, but by adding fall leaves or algae wafers, you may offer these omnivores the extra plant material they want while also giving them a sense of home. Going 7th on the list is the red devil crab, the only devil you want in your life. Of all the crabs, the red devil crab has to have the meanest appearance. It looks just like the devil, what with its dark legs, bright red body and pincers, and yellow piercing eyes, just staring back at you. It's undoubtedly colorful. These semi-terrestrial creatures live in Indonesia and thrive in freshwater paludariums. They like the companionship of a few members of their kind and are not hostile despite their intimidating appearance. These little crabs have a lifespan of only approximately 1.5 years and measure about 2 to 3 inches when fully grown. Being nocturnal, they prefer to hide from the sun during the daytime under rocks, trees, and other vegetation. They also have excellent hunting skills. Red devils like hunting live prey like little sluggish fish, brine shrimp, and anything else they can get their claws on. But as they are omnivores, they also require some waste and dead plant debris. 8th on the list is the Thai devil crab. The Thai devil crab, which should not be confused with the red devil crab, is one of the giant terrestrial crabs that can reach 6 to 8 inches, including its legs. It's not a crab for beginners. Thai devil crabs are the most colorful crabs, with their maroon to brownish gray or grayish blue bodies and legs. However, they can live up to 8 years, even if they spend most of that time in their deep tunnels, some of which can be as deep as 7 feet. Thai devil crabs need a lot of humidity because of their breathing method. They draw in oxygen from water vapor rather than air. You must keep them in a tank with just members of their species because they are aggressive and prefer to live alone. Matano crab is another species that you may not be familiar with. Matano crabs are aquatic organisms that, if necessary, may also travel to dry ground. They have white pigmented joints and a gorgeous deep purple color throughout, including their carapace. The Matano crab is hostile towards other crabs of the same species, thus having more than one male in a tank is not recommended. Male crabs will undoubtedly engage in combat, sometimes to the death. These nocturnal crabs have a lifespan of around 3 years in captivity and reach sizes of 3 to 5 inches. It's ideal to keep a male and 1 or 2 females in a 20-gallon tank or larger. Additionally, they'll consume slow-moving fish, so avoid housing them with slow-moving fish. Although you shouldn't keep them in the same tank, they originate from the same lake in Indonesia as the Panther Crab. Like panthers, a sand substrate with occasional gravel and hiding places will keep them engaged. Since they are omnivorous scavengers, Matano crabs will consume just about anything given to them. But like many other freshwater crabs, a diversity of diets is preferred. Fiddler is next in line of our best freshwater crabs. These semi-terrestrial crab species number over 100, and each has its distinct color variation and traits, making them perfect for novice crab owners. The ideal habitat for them is a paludarium that has brackish water and has at least 4 to 8 inches or 10 to 20 centimeters of sand as a substrate, so they can dig little tunnels and burrow. If you want to retain more than one male, ensure there's enough space for them to spread out, because fiddler crabs will frequently return to their holes and battle for the finest burrow places in your tank. There are countless color combinations available for these fantastic crustaceans. The male's sole distinguishing characteristic, a giant claw or pincer utilized for fighting and mating, is undoubtedly the most conspicuous. Fiddler crabs are perfect for tiny aquarium setups because of their compact size. They barely reach 2 inches long, including the width of their legs. Fiddler crabs are simple to care for and live up to 3 years. If there is Kermity Frog in the hobby, we also have Hermit Crab. Sorry. Since they're so simple to get and reasonably priced compared to most other pets, hermit crabs are terrestrial and almost certainly the first pet crabs that crab owners acquire. There are hundreds of subspecies, with sizes ranging from an inch or less to the enormous 40 inches from leg tip to tip of the coconut hermit. They come in a wide range of colors and have a wide range of life lengths, some reaching 30 years. Hermit crabs are significantly distinct from other crabs in that they lack a strong exoskeleton, forcing them to seek out a protective shell to avoid being easily preyed upon. They must find a new shell and discard the old one as they grow. Hermits also have altered lungs that allow them to breathe water vapor instead of water or air. To maintain them, your tank humidity must be at least 75%. These crabs are more complex to keep for a beginner. Additionally, you ought to use sand as a substrate that is consistently wet with salty water and has a depth of at least 4 inches for a content crab to burrow. There are also plenty of shells of all sizes for them to grow into. Tanganyika Crab is ranking 12th in our video. 9 species of Tanganyika crabs are all known to originate from Lake Tanganyika in East Africa. These are among the rarest species, and there hasn't been much study on them, so count yourself lucky if you can get one of these. The size of these species varies from 1 to 2 inches, and they're all some shade of light brown and tan. Honestly, they're not that spectacular looking. Since they are real aquatic crabs, dry land is optional for them to survive. They don't burrow like other crabs in like a sand and pebble substrate. However, they do require hiding places, so add some rocks and driftwood to your aquarium. Forget about plants. These tiny aquarium crabs are opportunistic scavengers in the wild and will shred and consume anything. Another crab species you'd like to look into is the marble Batik. The marble Batik crab is another land or terrestrial crab that is relatively uncommon in aquarium hobbies. They only reach a height of less than 2 inches and have a 3-year lifespan. Although a freshwater and saltwater bowl with marine salt is ideal if you have the space, they're simple to maintain and don't need much water. However, you may retain them in a 5-gallon tank with a freshwater bowl if required. Marble Batiks enjoy burrowing and need a minimum 2-inch substrate of sand and small pebbles like most land crabs. You should provide them with plenty of spaces to explore, utilizing rocks and driftwood. They do enjoy exploring. Like most land crabs, they're simple to maintain if the humidity is 75% or more. This is because water vapor rather than water or air is how they breathe. The 14th crab species is the red apple crab. Terrestrial crabs of the red apple variety can reach a maximum size of 7 to 10 centimeters and have a lifespan of 3 to 6 years. They only require a freshwater bowl in a landscaping aquarium because they're terrestrial creatures, though a paludarium layout works ideally. They make excellent pets for beginners because they're incredibly hardy and straightforward to care for. They make colorful pets appealing to maintain because of their dark bodies and legs with red and orange claws and brilliant yellow eyes. Because they can alter their colors under their moods, they're also known as chameleon crabs. Red apples are social creatures, thus your tank should have a minimum of 2 to 3 crabs. We've already reached the 14th freshwater crab on our list. Before we continue with the last one, it would be awesome if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, for the last type of crab on this list, let's give it up for the rainbow crab. The semi-aquatic rainbow crab is not the simplest to raise since it requires a relatively high humidity level in its tank, up to 80%. This is because it has unique gills that allow it to breathe humidity rather than water or air, as most other semi-aquatic crabs do. Additionally, they require a location to dry off thoroughly, and water between 5 and 10% brackish. These vibrantly colored salty crabs prefer to spend most of their time underground in tunnels they dig in the tank's sand substrate. So make sure the ground is covered in at least 6 inches of sand so they can start searching. These crabs are highly hostile and should be left alone since they will physically fight other members of their species to the death. They have sharp pincers, and they're one of the giant crabs on our list with a maximum size of 6 to 8 inches. Rainbow land crabs require a large tank with a minimum capacity of 20 gallons for a single animal and 40 gallons or more if you want to add another. These omnivorous brackish crabs forage for things like crab pellets and algae wafers at night when they're most active. Typically, they spend the day sleeping in the tunnels they dig in your substrate. Having freshwater crabs in your aquarium is another fun way to add variety to something incredibly fascinating. Additionally, no matter what kind of aquarium setup you have, there's a species that fits. These crabs offer a variety of terrestrial, semi-terrestrial, and even entirely aquatic species. If you love all these crabs on the list, share your thoughts with us in the comment section below and tell us your favorite. Also, if you want to know more about these crabs and tank mates and you can't keep up with them, you can visit our official website at www.aquariumstoredepot.com, where plenty of information is posted in detail. I hope you enjoyed learning and watching our topic just for you. It's time not to be scared about the pincers like crabs and love their uniqueness instead. I'll see you again next time, fish keepers. Thanks for watching.